So before kicking off this week, I just want to say thanks to everybody who listens. Thank you so much. You're very kind to loan me a few minutes of your time. I try to keep these short and sweet and to the point because we're all busy people. I mean, sure, we're spending 6 hours a day on our cell phones, but we're busy. We got stuff we want to get done. I do want to say thank you, and I just want to say I don't really enjoy talking politics. I don't really enjoy talking about Donald Trump. I actually fucking hate it. I really do. I hate what we've become over the last, 15 years. Thank you, rise of the Tea Party and the racism born out of us electing our first black president. This election is, 50 odd days away, 54 days away, I think it is now. And people are going to start getting their ballots in the mail if you've signed up for vote by mail, which I recommend everybody does. Of course, the existing Postmaster General was a guy that was appointed by Donald Trump. His name's Louis DeJoy. He's a real piece of shit who is throwing sand in the works to make sure that the post office doesn't function properly, which will give people more complaints about the election and vote by mail. But anyway, Louis DeJoy, still in charge, should have been fired. Totally should have been fired. And it really speaks great volumes to how good a man Joe Biden is that he didn't shit can a lot of people that Donald Trump put into place who are obviously not there with the best interests of the country at heart. So anyway, this election's almost here. Please be ready. And this is my kind of promise that after this is done, if my team wins, Team Sanity wins, I won't have to talk about this stuff the way I do it right now. Every once in a while it may come up because Republicans are still there. They're still trying to drag us backwards in a universe where forward thinking and forward action is really what we need to make things better. But I'm going to try to get back to, the old school, telling stories and talking about fun stuff whenever I can. But for now, I think this is the most important conversation we can have. And that's why I do what I do. So let's get on with it. This week was a lot of fun. The debate happened, the first debate between Harris and Trump, and apparently there won't be another one because Trump's already said he doesn't. We won 92-8. I don't have to debate her again. No. Anybody who watched this thing saw the truth. Okay, if you didn't watch it, that's fine. Catch just the highlights. Catch just the recap. But don't do it on like one of the OANs or Newsmaxes of the world. Try it on CNN or ABC News or NBC. It was covered by ABC. It was that was their debate. Donald Trump got trashed, absolutely trashed. Kamala Harris came out there completely prepared, knew exactly what she was talking about, had her talking points in hand, had her policies in mind, had all of the failures of not all of the failures of the Trump administration. They actually had way more failures than you can squeeze into an hour and a half debate, but she managed to throw a few at him. The Trump presidency, everybody seems to forget those 4 years. They were fucking horrible. This was the worst president in United States history by the account of every historian that covers this stuff, that pays attention to this stuff, that studied this their entire lives. They'll tell you to a person. Doris Kearns Edwards, Michael Beschloss, so many of them. They're just like, the Trump presidency was an absolute abject disaster. Got nothing done except a giant tax cut. We forget that he fired like 80 members of his own staff, like high-end members of his staff. How many chief of staffs, the guy who really runs the president's schedule and gets them to and from and makes sure that the priorities are met, how many chiefs of staff did he go through? I think it was like 5. It was a ludicrous amount. This guy he can never take responsibility for anything he's done ever. Remember when he misspoke about the people in Alabama having to worry about a specific hurricane? And then everybody pointed out, no, the hurricane's not going to hit Alabama. And he forced them to generate a new map. He just corrected the map with a Sharpie. Remember this? Do you remember? This is how thin-skinned and foolish this man is. Anyway, Kamala Harris trashed him in this debate. Trashed him. He didn't land a single gotcha. He didn't do anything except backpedal, be defensive, be angry. He couldn't look at her. There's nothing that says, I'm losing a debate, like a failure to be able to even look at your opponent. She absolutely decimated him. She looked presidential. She sounded amazing. This is a woman who has all of the goods. She can do this. She's got the temperament. She's got the intelligence. She's surrounded by the right people, which is always a good thing. Trump is surrounded by sycophants, yes men, idiots. Stephen Miller, who is like a fascist, a straight up Nazi, racist scumbag. And I think I can say all that with fair certainty. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not going to edit that in any way. Stephen Miller's a horrible human being, and he's probably going to be the chief of staff should Donald Trump win the presidency. They talked about policy, policy this, policy that. Donald Trump doesn't have any policies except what he's ripped out of Project 2025, which he refuses to admit is his policy, 900 pages of Christian nationalist fascism. Taking away rights from women, demonizing. That's one of the things that he is on board with, deporting millions of immigrants who may or may not be undocumented. And do you think that that is going to be a smooth and easy thing to do? No, it's going to be a total disaster and unnecessary. The people who have come here from other places, I haven't talked a lot about immigration yet, have I? The people that come here from other countries come here to make a better life for themselves. They work hard. They keep their nose clean. The cost of committing crimes as an undocumented immigrant includes having to leave this country that you've come to and usually sacrificed everything in order to do so. So this whole, immigrants drive crime everywhere is narrative is bullshit. It's just a scare tactic. It's nonsense. It is very clear in all of the statistics that U.S.-born citizens of this country commit crime at a much, much, much higher rate. It's all straw men. It's all anecdotal one-offs, if you will. The kid who shot up a high school last week, he was born in Georgia. He was a Georgia citizen. His dad is a Georgia citizen. His dad was supposed to be watching him. His dad was supposed to be keeping those guns away from him. They had warned him that this could happen. And it raises a lot of questions about how much policing and when. But that kid wasn't an undocumented immigrant. Donald Trump doesn't believe in anything. He doesn't believe in anything at all. He just believes the last person who talked to him. When confronted with crime statistics, he just doesn't believe them because they don't fit his narrative. And somebody else told him something different. Some other conspiracy came up, and that's what he stuck with. And if you're paying attention, you've noticed that Donald Trump is now the source of endless songs, parody songs, different videos, because he went on a rant about a garbage conspiracy about Haitian immigrants eating pets. Okay, feel free to look this up. It's flat out not true. And they're running with it. And this is a gross, horribly racist thing to accuse a specific group of doing it. And it's just not happening. The Haitian immigrant population of Springfield, Ohio, was invited there with open arms because they had built a new plant and they needed people to work there. And therein lies another question about immigration into this country. Why are we so against it when we obviously need it for growth? Is it the racism behind it? It feels like it's the racism, honestly, doesn't it? It feels like it's the racism behind, well, we've got to deal with our border crisis. But part of the dealing with the border crisis is never a pathway to citizenship where these people who have fled horrible situations and traveled in some instances thousands of miles on foot to seek asylum in the country that has always been referred to by us, those of us who live here, as the greatest country on earth, a melting pot, a place where all people are welcome, but apparently not. It's very frustrating. It's very tiresome. I, personally, am very tired. I believe immigration is a good thing. I believe that we are headed, eventually, someday, for a world society where we can stop with this nonsense about the happenstance of one's birth building into your worth as a human. If you happen to be born in the United States, you are among the luckiest people. If you happen to be born with a certain amount of melatonin in your skin and happens to be white, that doesn't make you any different from someone who is black or Asian or native of any country, Aboriginal or of Latin descent. It doesn't matter. You're just a person. We're just people. And you're raised in the place where you're born by your parents, or sometimes they move you and they raise you somewhere else. And all of that is happenstance. It just is what it is. And the instant that we stop demonizing people for the color of their skin or their belief structures or the language that they speak or who they choose to love or how they choose to identify, we become a better place. We become a better species. We become better. Everything gets better when we stop trying to make it worse. I really wanted to talk at length about this debate. I'm not going to, because I got myself onto a tangent about equality. And one of the things I do want to talk about real briefly, this is the whole point of this episode, was the glass ceiling. Can a woman be president of the United States, the leader of the free world, if you will? We are behind the curve. We've had 46 presidents in this country. 45 of them have been white men. One is black. Hey, President Obama, and he did a really good job. And most of them have been rich white men, which means you're out of touch. When you're born rich and you live rich, you're out of touch with the overwhelming majority of this country that is, in fact, not rich. There's a big chunk of middle class, and there's a really big chunk of poor. There's a really, really big group of the American public that is living paycheck to paycheck, just trying to figure out how to pay exorbitant rents that just keep rising, ridiculous housing prices. We complain about inflation, but it's the richest who are causing most of that inflation because, well, they can. Rich people in general aren't in touch with the rest of society, and they don't need to be because they're rich. See, that's how it works. When you're rich, you don't have to care anymore. And the rich, powerful people will do anything to stay rich and stay powerful. All right, enough about that soapbox. Can a woman take that mantle of leader of the free world, president of the United States? Hillary Clinton ran as the first female candidate for a major party in the United States. We've had third-party candidates before. We've had women in the vice presidential nominee, but only one has ever been elected, and that's Kamala Harris. She served the last 3.5 years alongside Joe Biden. We hold her to a different standard than we would a male candidate. We hold her to a different standard than we did Hillary Clinton, which was wild because we held her to a different standard. Kamala Harris has to be perfect. And so far, she's running a perfect campaign, really a perfect campaign. It's difficult, very difficult. She has to run close enough to Biden to be honest and say she's been the partner in this. But she also has to kind of keep the distance to say, I'm a change candidate. People want something different. They want a younger generation of leadership. She is a full 20 years younger than Donald Trump. I believe it's actually like 18 and a half. We hold Kamala Harris to a different standard as a society, just like we hold women to a different standard. And in particular, I think that this is glaring because we hold Donald Trump to a different standard too. And the standard that we hold him to, coming into this debate, for example, Kamala had to be perfect in order to get the flowers that she was going to deserve. Donald Trump basically only had to go out there with his pants on and try not to set himself on fire. And we were going to say, you know what, he was okay. It doesn't matter that he cannot put together 3 sentences that make any sense at all. When you isolate just the things that he says, when you just take the answers that he gave, you can't figure out what the question was. You can't. It's impossible. I don't even think he knows. He's not interested in answering questions. He's not interested in being truthful. He refused to answer whether or not he wanted Ukraine to defeat Russia in that war. He refused to say that he would veto a national abortion bill should it hit his desk. His excuse, I'll never have to worry about it. Just like we never had to worry about a giant pandemic, which a lot of people forget. The Trump administration fired the entire pandemic response and preparation department in the United States government in 2018. It's forgotten, but that happened. That was a thing. The people who were preparing for the eventuality of a pandemic were fired. by the Trump administration. And then somehow it happened. Donald Trump had an entire presidential administration, 4 years. And it ended with him trying to overthrow the results of an election to stay in power in an election that he lost by over 7.5 million votes. Tyranny of the minority, if you will. He's not fit to even run for office, much less hold it. It's disgusting that this race is tied. The man is a menace. And Kamala Harris is a woman who is more than capable, with enough experience and surrounded by the right people. Very important, always important to look at the team around people. She's ready for this gig and she's going to crush it. But it raises a question. What is the ceiling made of? Is it a glass ceiling? Because you'd think a glass ceiling would be pretty easy to break, but apparently it's not. As the son of a single mom, my parents divorced when I was 8 officially, but they separated a year before that. My mom never remarried. I was really raised by a single mother. My only sibling is a sister. I have been married. I have daughters. Women are capable, absolutely, and in many cases more capable than men. No one is perfect. Some of us will have deficiencies in one area and another. That's why you surround yourself with people who make you a better person. That's the thing. People who lift you up and help you aren't the ones who are always saying yes to every one of your idiot whims, because we make mistakes. Donald Trump refuses to admit he's made any mistakes, which is disgusting. I'm voting for Kamala Harris, not just because Donald Trump is an absolute disaster for the future of this country and this world, but because Kamala Harris is actually the right decision. I've really been impressed with the Joe Biden presidency, the amount of things that he's gotten done with a divided Congress the last 2 years, too. It has been truly remarkable, the amount of progress that they've been able to make. We owe Joe Biden a debt of gratitude for leading us out of this pandemic. And Kamala Harris was a part of that, too. She was more peripheral as the vice president, and that's who you're supposed to be. But he did a great job. And arguably the greatest thing he did was realize that the time was right to pass the baton. And he did, which is something that is truly rare. Leaders don't like to be non-leaders. And I hope that Joe continues to be a leader in other ways, because he can be. A good man did great things for our country for 50 years, and he continues to do them still. I'm proud to vote for Kamala Harris, and I hope you will be too. Think about it, quote unquote, do your research. You're on your phone 6 hours a day, right? Read about their policies. There's a policy page on harrisforpresidentnow.com, whatever it's called. It's not hard to find. I found it this morning. I was just messing around, reading on my phone. And compare and contrast. You know, the only thing I've heard policy-wise out of the Trump administration is stuff from straight out of 2025, Project 2025, which you should also learn about. Enjoy. It's a dark rabbit hole, my friends. But The Handmaid's Tale is a really popular TV show because people like to be scared. So if you like being scared, read Project 2025. That's their plan for the future. I just hope that we can all realize that we're better when we're positive, and we can do this together. I hope you've enjoyed this moment with me. I certainly did. I always have a good time, but I do. Thank you so much for your time. Please make sure that you're registered to vote, and do it. Vote blue. We need you. Until next time, be good humans. It's the least we can do.